Welcome back to my channel, ladies. I'm Amity Rose, and today I'm trying a little bit of a different creative expression, so we'll see how that goes. Today we're going to be talking about how to learn to parent yourself. So let me give you a little background on what this whole concept is. Basically, everyone in childhood suffered some form of abuse. Even if the childhood was idyllic and perfect, there's still gonna be some form of rejection, embarrassment, abandonment, being made fun of, bullied. There is no perfect childhood. So it's based on this pretense that anywhere in childhood, and often in childhood, depending on what your experiences are, we experienced trauma. Trauma that as a young child we were unable to understand, process, and integrate. So we had these experiences that happened to us that we didn't understand, that we couldn't make sense of. So what happens is the psyche and the soul fragments in that moment. In order for us to survive, in order for us to keep going, it separates because we didn't understand what it was that happened and we can't process it. So it's still there, it just forms this separation and almost this frozenness in time. So we have these parts that are immature because they stopped growing at the moment when that traumatic event happened. So now here we are as an adult, in adult bodies, most of us acting out from the woundings of this inner child that was never healed, that was never integrated. So the concept of self-parenting and learning to reparent yourself is twofold. The first part is this idea that we can go back in time, usually through meditation, visualizations. You have the greatest time machine there ever was in your mind. We're constantly time traveling, rarely in the moment. We're either in the past, we're in the future, we're making stuff up, we're in our imagination. The mind is the greatest time traveling instrument you've ever had access to. You can use it to your healing advantage. So the first part of learning how to parent yourself is to travel back into your memories and heal the childhood wounds that you have. In those moments that are frozen, you go back into that memory bank and you be there. The adult you, be there with the child you, and you give yourself the resources that you need. Essentially, that's one way of doing it. There are several other ways and modalities, and depending on how traumatic the event was, definitely seek out professional help. This is not something to take lightly. Playing around in the psyche is and can be a bit tricky. Definitely follow your intuition. If you need help from somebody, get that help to guide you around in this situation here. What I'm sharing with you are just some ideas and tools that hopefully can help just expand your awareness on the topic. So when you go back and you heal those childhood wounds by giving yourself the resources that you needed in that moment. When you change the memory from the past, you also shift the version of you are that you are in the future, in the now. Because that memory has changed, and when that memory was something else, you were a different version of you based on this frozen memory that you had. So when you go back and you heal that memory and you make it whole, when you bring that childhood part of you from that memory into the today part of you, you're more whole. And essentially, the present part of you changes as a result of that healing. That is the idea of the first part of learning how to parent yourself and reparenting. The second piece is gonna be that you are the parent today in every situation for yourself that you want to be. Like I said before, we are all in adult bodies, but what's underneath, what's inside, is very much children. We might be mature on certain levels. We might have our finances in order and we might have these responsibilities checked off on this list, but a lot of us, especially emotionally, are very childish. And you can tell this by the situations, what triggers you. What do you have no time to pause and think and come from this place of conscious action? Where are the places in your life where you just react, where you just snap back when you say something? Those are the places where you have woundings, because that's a very immature response. That's a very childlike response. The lowered impulse control is an immature response that children have. So if you're wondering where you might have some childhood woundings, this is a great place to start. look at where you're reactionary, where you didn't even be able to have a moment to think. You just react, and sometimes have to go back and apologize because it happened so quickly. That is a clear sign of an area where you've got some wounding and could do some inner work. I wanted to give you guys some tools on how to navigate this space. Like I said, definitely see a professional depending on the severity and the amount of your trauma. They absolutely can be helpful. In addition to talk therapy, there is somatic therapy, which gets into the body, because what happened in these traumatic events, not only did your emotions get stunted and your psyche fragment, but our bodies are actually holding on to that frozen energy. So a pain you have in your back or an ache you have in your knee could actually be frozen energy from these traumatic events. So if you're not wanting to dive into the psyche and go that route because it could be a little wild, you could try somatic therapy, where that's actually using the body as a way into the psyche. So if you're working into the muscles and tissues, you could actually heal that way without reliving the event. So it's just another tool. Always listen to your intuition, whatever you feel guided to, whatever helps you the best. That is the medicine that you're going to want to use. These are just suggestions and offerings to expand your awareness. The last thing that I want to note is it is your responsibility to learn how to parent yourself. You're not a child anymore. Every child on this planet, in some form or another, experience some form of suffering. It's just not possible to be a human and not experience suffering. As an adult, it is your responsibility to get the tools to heal yourself and to become the parent and give yourself the resources that you need today. So when you need to rest, no one else is gonna give you that permission. You need to do it. If you need to pat yourself on the back when you're feeling low, if you need to high five yourself, if you need to compliment yourself, if you need to excuse yourself to cry, whatever it is that these things that our parents were supposed to provide to us when we were children, it is now your responsibility and not theirs to provide those things for yourself. You're gonna need a certain level of awareness in order to do this. So start looking at where you're triggered, heal those wounds, and then also commit to parenting yourself in the way that you need it. So checking in moment to moment, what do I need right now? And you give that to yourself. You become the source of what you need, and you quit looking for external validation. I need a sorry from him, or I need an I love you from this, or a compliment from that. No, those things would be nice, but what you need is you. You are what you need. And you have the ability to provide that to yourself. So the time is now to make that commitment, to be responsible for yourself, heal your past woundings, and then give yourself what you need in the moment that you need it. That is my conversation on how to learn to parent yourself and the two pieces of it. I do hope it was helpful. Give me a thumbs up and subscribe if you like this content, and I will see you in a couple days. Hey there.